Thanks everyone who joined us today. Actually, in addition to our regular roster, we have a new face on the call, which is Dmitry Dorogoy. So Dima was our attendee of our meetings, and once he chatted with us and told that he has some interesting stuff to share. So that's why Dima is here, and he's ready to share his awesome article about testing regex without writing any lines of C# code. Dima?
Okay, let me share my small presentation rather than looking at the article.
Okay. So there is an article that we will share, but Dima will share more details in his presentation.
Okay, can I?
Yeah, we can see.
You see my screen, yeah?
Yeah.
So, okay, first of all, I want to know if everybody is familiar with regular expressions.
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah, I think almost every project has at least one regular expression in a project. And sometimes we have some problems with a regular expression. And the main problem with regex is complexity. It's hard to read regex if you are not working only with regular expression. It's very easy to forget the syntax, forget the idea, and catch something like catastrophic backtracking, etc., etc. And I Google some examples from a GitHub with a regular expression. This one I show now. It's hard to understand what is this regular expression about. And for example, this one, okay, it is well named and we can read that it is about balance and then about income, but what's next? It's hard to read these numbers and brackets.
Very hard, I would say.
Yeah. So the main problem is regular expression is completely not understandable. And people feel the problem and try to solve it. For example, like this. They write comments, but comments is just a comment. It's actually it's better than nothing, but it's only a comment. And for example, here, oh, this regular expression is about email address. Oh, it is so complex, but actually I know the real size of a regular expression for email address is much bigger. So the main problem is regular expression is complex and we need to have more information about it to work efficiently. The most advanced users start writing unit tests against the regular expression. I easily Google it on GitHub and it looks like this. Unit test, we have to give a name for this unit test, we have to write cases, and we have to write lots of information and lots of boilerplate code. But let's back to the basics. Do you know this guy?
Sasha, do you know? I don't.
No.
No idea.
This guy name is Altschuler. He's the author of a theory for solving complex technical problems. And this theory has one very interesting topic. And this interesting topic, name it like this. This is about ideal system and ideal object. And this guy said that if you want to make your system or object ideal, the best idea for make this is ideal object or ideal system does not exist, but perform, but it functions. So I want to follow this principle in a topic of regular expression testing. I want to have ability to test my regular expression and to receive lots of information about regular expression, but I don't want to write a code. So I want to make my system ideal. I get result without any effort. And then you guess it's possible because I'm doing this presentation. And Let's make it short and step by step. First of all, I define a regular expression. It is long enough and complex, and this regular expression is about social security number, and I need to declare my regular expression first. Okay, I declare it. Nothing special. Next, I prepare for you guys NuGet package to make the magic.
I really like the root namespace. Okay.
Yes, it's very funny story about this name, but next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you promised you will have to join us one more time at least?
Yes,
or maybe on a regular basis.
Why not?
Okay.
It's always fun. Okay, next, I substitute just a comment with an attribute, and I suppose that you always want to know what match this particular regular expression, and you write this regular expression should match this line. Okay, it's okay, but at the same time you always have some edge cases. Edge cases, it means this, for example, social security number can looks like a phone number, and you don't want to catch a phone number, so should not match. So you provide like positive examples and at the same time negative examples. Hello AI matrix. And next, we always have a gray zone. Gray zone is a zone where we want to know what's happened, but you don't want to treat it like as a success or as a failure. So, just info. You want to know how this regular expression will be matched, but you don't care is it okay or not. So, just relax, do nothing, and this is examples. You run build button, wait maybe 1 second, and you get results. It's magic. You magically get results with a green label that all tests passed. But is it all? No. You can easily navigate to the source from a test. From a test view, you can easily navigate to the regular expression in a code, but not in a test because there is no test. You have only a regular expression declaration, and you can easily go to this regular expression. Okay, what's next? If you press go to text, you navigate directly to the declaration of a regular expression. I think you noticed a red label from a previous slide. And of course, you want to know what is a red label because everybody wants to know an error on the slides of the presentation. So, okay, it's a specially bad designed regular expression, and you have a error explanation because your regular expression has lack of brackets. Okay, it's some kind of diagnostic. But what's happened if you write your regular expression very well and want to know more information about it? Okay, let's check. This is a social security number regular expression parsing examples with all capture groups and lengths and positions if you want to know more information about your regular expression. Notice, you do nothing forget this. It's for free. Let me share some more high-level details because this presentation is not technical, just a few high-level details. So, how it works? Actually, all this magic is based on test adapters. And for make your own test adapter, you have to implement iTest Discover interface. This is a special interface which could do everything, but this interface should provide a description of your tests. So you can test everything. For my example, I just check attributes over strings and suppose that these attributes provide me test data for regular expression. Next, we have to create a test case. This is a test case created. It's just part of code. Of course, I'll share a repo. If you want to dig deeper, you can check it. And test executor. test executor is code which will be run when you press execute tests. And this test executor provide information about outcome, about the name. You can provide a long name for your test, because actually I have no test method, I have no class, so I can create display name whatever I want. And while I discover this and while I implement this code, I found one funny fact, curious fact about test executor. This test executor have two methods, run tests. Two, not one, two. And one of them do not only test execution, but also test discovering. So this is a reason why sometimes, not often, of course, but why sometimes you can get different results if you run your tests from Visual Studio or run them with a command like .NET tests. Because actually, internally in a test adapters, these two methods run two different methods for test execution. So it's all my presentation. Take my money. You can download the repo and play around this code. So it's all. If you have questions, you can ask.
That's very nice presentation. We've got a few questions. One actually is from Alexander. So these attributes are located right in your working project, not in a test project. So I assume that Alexander means that that's probably not a very good idea to mix your working code with the tests attributes. So that's kind of disadvantage.
No, it's easy. I predict this question. It's why I make two NuGet packages.
Okay.
One only for attributes. So if you just want to mark your code with attributes, you can mark it. The same idea, use it, for example, for Entity Framework and for many other popular frameworks. They split logic and attributes. So this
basically attribute is just a piece of metadata. It's not something that is really executed unless you have some code that gets these attributes and tries to do something with them. Actually, another question is from me. Did you try to use some source generators? Maybe it's also possible. It could be also possible to do some checks during the compile time. So, for example, you marked your regex with attributes, then you just try to build your project and build is failed because your regex doesn't work. So that's quite legitimate reason to fail the build. So potentially you can use source generators.
Actually, I don't like idea to fail the build because of wrong regular expression. Of course, if your regular expression could not be compiled, it's an error. And with a modern regular expression, with source generated, you have to fail a build if it is an error. But in this case, if your regular expression just doesn't catch the string you want, it should be catched. I think it's a level of unit testing, not a build.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Thanks, Dima. This is really interesting. So we will have an article to this project, to Dmitri's project, so you'll be able to explore it, maybe adapt on your project. And in case if you have some questions to Dima, you can always reach out to him and ask for some clarification. All right, thanks, Dima. We've got a few other news and updates for you to share and discuss, and actually let's go through them. The first one is about .NET 9 Preview 6. now is available. So you can, if you are really a .NET enthusiast, you can install this Preview 6 and try it out. Maybe suggest some improvements to the repositories, join the discussion about the upcoming version of .NET, and so on. So anyway, what is shipped in this preview? Actually, we can see that there are a bunch of library improvements delivered here, a lot of changes in internal data, in internal classes. So basically, Microsoft delivered a lot of C# language capabilities, and now they started adapting these capabilities in the framework itself, in the libraries. For example, spans are becoming more widely adapted internally. All these ref structs things. So all these things should make the internal classes work faster. What else? So from the runtime perspective, we can see here some ARM64 improvements, more adoption of the latest processor instruction sets as well. So again, so that should make our .NET code running faster on a modern processors. So from the SDK perspective, what we can see here, some improvements in the way how .NET is working with NuGets. So for example, there will be a .NET NuGet Y utility that will be able to explain why a particular version of the package is referenced by your project, which is quite useful. There are a bunch of C# syntaxes delivered, ASP.NET Core, MAUI, and so on. So actually you can go into details of each of these .NET framework area and explore deeper. For example, you can go to .NET article. For some reason it's in Russian, I'm not sure. Right. So yeah, you really can go deeper and see what was delivered in this preview.
Sorry. Yeah, one interesting topic was related to loop optimization under the runtime section. Yeah, it was. I was striking that if you use the loop with increment rather than decrement, it produces the more operations. As a result, the code is increased, the code size of increased. But now the JIT compiler will be able to identify when they able to flip increment to decrement. As a result, the size of the output code will be smaller, and performance of your code can be improved. Yeah, it's really interesting optimization.
Yeah, really like small improvement, but probably some projects will be able to recognize significant performance boosts, especially if they rely on decrements in their loops. Right, interesting. Okay, so especially we would like to talk about C# 13 features, because this is what we will be able to start using since the release. Right, actually, you can start trying C# 13 if, of course, in case if you install .NET 9 on your machine, and of course, if you base the project on .NET 9 preview version, you will have to put lang version preview attribute in your project, and by doing this, you will be able to try some new C# features. For example, this one, params collection. So params keyword was available for us for many years. I think it's maybe since the first versions of C#, but it worked only for arrays, right? Yeah. The quite useful syntax, but what if you wanted to use it not with array, but what if you really need a list in your method? So that wasn't available for us. And now starting from C# 13, you will be able to use it params keyword with list, with INumerable, and I guess this is not showed here. I guess it will also work for spans.
It's next section, yeah. They show some overloads, for the same method, and as a result, if you don't specify something special, like it will be used more performance efficient method like read-only span.
Yes, so spans probably is the most crucial thing here because it allows you to avoid extra allocations when it's possible to do that. Because like if you have a numberable array or list, it will be all about it. There will be always allocations, extra allocations, but with spans, you will be able to avoid allocations. That's cool.
I would say that was the aim of this enhancement. Like,
yeah, agree.
If they don't need to modify to support span, they never touch this params at all.
Yeah, that's right. So less allocations, less amount of work your GC will have to do, so the application will be able to perform faster because .NET Runtime will not be busy with collecting the objects. So more CPU time will be available for your code to be executed. So there are only benefits from using spans. And yeah, so Microsoft is working hard to adapt these spans internally in all the classes and all the data structures that we have in the .NET Framework library. Right, so the next one is lock. So again, so lock keyword was available again from the beginning of the C#, and usually we used it like, okay, so we created an object, just empty object, and then we locked this object with a lock keyword. So now Microsoft is offering us to, instead of using an object, they are offering us to use a system trading lock structure. And so I guess that should work a little bit faster, a little bit more reliable. Well, probably from the reliability perspective, it's the same, but probably it will be working faster. Did you guys explore why?
I was trying to understand what is so that actually the lock object was introduced earlier, so it not directly in the C# 13. So in the C# 13, they just enhance support in the compilator. It is more provide a bit more information during compilation. So I was trying to understand what is the benefit of it. I mean, the lock object, or what is the enhancement. But basically, what I understood is that when you're using not lock object, you're using just a usual object. It has few ways to kind of fail or something. It behaves like an object, like a lock object, and something other. That's what I understood from here. So
from what I saw in discussions, kind of final goal for this change is to be able to get rid of synchronization block property of every object in .NET.
Okay, so by
which is
doing
used
this
currently to implement lock under the hood.
And yeah, so by doing this, the amount of regular object, the size of the regular object will be smaller because this synchronization block will be omitted, right? So that's the purpose. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, probably they will have
long-term goal.
Yeah, probably they will have to introduce a kind of compile toggler because so you need to declare this explicitly because they don't really know that you are not going to, or maybe that it will be a compiler mode, so you will be able to lock only the system trading lock object, not all the objects, right?
Theoretically, they can try to use it at first for native AT, because for native AT you can see the full tree of your program when you're compiling, and so you can get rid of extra information for some of your types.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Right, so the next portion of syntax is related to index initializers. So we were able to initialize our arrays by typing like this syntax. So we were able to assign a particular value to a particular arrays location under a particular index. So, but we were not able to, let's say, assign a value to the last. So we had no syntax to assign a value to a last element other than just type in the length -1, for example. Yeah, but now we can use this syntax. How the symbol is called, I'm not sure. So you guys also don't know. Okay, but this syntax now is available to assign a value to, let's say, the very last element of the array. Again, quite small enhancement, but might be useful. Escape sequence, so there will be another escape symbol that we will be able to use in our strings. Partial properties. So previously we had, so for many years we had partial methods, but now we are going to have these partial properties because why not? So actually that will be quite useful, for example, for regular expressions.
And for view models in UI frameworks, when you have to implement boilerplate with notify property changed.
That's true. Method group natural type improvements. So again, it will be easier for you to assign a function to a variable, and compiler will be able to recognize it in a better way. Allow ref struct. This is for our generics. Will be useful in case if you're trying to write a code with 0 allocations. Ref and unsafe usage in async methods. So currently it's not possible to use ref and async if your method is asynchronous, but starting from C#13, there will be cases when you are allowed to do that. Not always, but in some cases you will be able to consume async await together with ref and unsafe keywords.
And that's great because ref struct is span, so you'll be able to use span in async functions, and runtime team will be very happy with this, I suppose.
That's true. And some bad news for those people who liked the idea that was shared on the previous build about extension types. So the C# design team decided to postpone this feature till C#14 because they will not be ready to ship it in C#13. So we will have to wait for a while. All right. So this is not a final list, obviously, of the language capabilities of C#13. And for example, there are a few other proposals that might be implemented in the next version of C#. For example, this one. So this is an official C# language repository on a GitHub. Yeah. So, and we have a nice and interesting proposal of unions for C#. So my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Vladimir, but so unions, it's a way to say, like, okay, so this to declare something like, okay, so this variable can contain this, can save this, and this class. Yeah, and that could be useful then, for example, in your code. So you'll be able to use a pattern matching to check if a particular variable is a particular type, has a particular type, has a particular properties, and so on. So this is on the proposal stage, but maybe it will be shipped in C#13 or maybe a later version.
Definitely not in 13. Maybe like best case in 14, because it requires a lot of work, and for now seems like window of changes is closed for coming release.
Okay.
The great thing about unions is that they will provide out-of-the-box implementations for option, result types, error types, I suppose. Very similar to what we have in other languages like Rust. It's
or
like,
yeah, in
looks
a
like
TypeScript.
and used very similar, but not exactly. But or like, at least you'll not have to implement your custom result types in your projects, and you'll be able to utilize switch on construct.
So you liked this feature, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, because you started working with Rust, yeah?
Not yet, just
Not
learning.
yet. Okay, some bad news for people who are still on .NET 6. So it will reach out end of the support on November 12th. I think this is the date of release C# 9. So you still have some time to upgrade to .NET 8, which is a current LTI version. Yeah, so if you're on .NET 6, you better start doing the upgrade to .NET 8. Okay, let's move on to some AI topics related to .NET. .NET Conf focus on AI will be conducted on August 20th. Actually, there will be full day of events about the way how you can bring AI capabilities to your .NET applications. And actually, it's really interesting that a lot of these topics were discussed on our past events. For example, we had a presentation from Arthur about Reg. We talked a lot about semantic kernel. So we actually shared some updates about smart components in Blazor. Yeah, anyway, there will be a lot of events conducted by a lot of sessions conducted by Microsoft speakers. So if you are still considering whether you should adapt AI to your projects, to your solutions, you can watch these videos and decide. Also, you will be able to get some starting points. For example, get some understanding of semantic kernel library, which is very nice and probably essential. Yeah. Right. One more article about AI for .NET applications. This one is about Prompty extension. So Prompty is IDE extension for Visual Studio Code that allows you to do the following. So you can actually install it to your VS Code, and then instead of, so for example, Arthur, you showed us your code, yes, during your demos, you showed your code, and all the prompts were located right in the code base, right in the C# files as just regular strings. So what this extension allows you to do, it allows you to write a special files, Prompty files, where you can actually describe the request to your LLM model. You can put some details, which exactly model you would like to use. You can provide some examples, and then you can just, for example, if you wanted to test your prompt, you can just run this file directly from your Visual Studio Code and see the response without the necessity to run the application.
Yeah, it's like a function calling, yeah, but instead of declaring the function inside of your application in the source code, you will have some dedicated file, yeah, with a Prompty extension, and where you're going to describe what is function, the purpose, description, input parameters for your function, and after you're going to add your function to kernel, yeah, with appropriate predefined function like create function from Prompty file. Yeah, it's like two separate of concerns. Yeah, instead of storing the data related to AI regarding your prompt, regarding your function calling, you're able to separate these concerns and have dedicated files. Looks like this purpose of this library, yeah, and extension.
So yeah, should be quite useful, right? This one is just a video from Steve Sanderson about the ways how you can use. Sorry, we need to. So, anyways, YouTube is inserted advertisement. Okay, so this is a video from Steve Sanderson. He was a speaker on one of the conferences, and he showed an examples of AI adoption on the project. It's not only about a chatbot assistant that you can bring. It's much more. So very interesting, and really recommend to watch if you are clueless about the ways how you can add AI capabilities to your project. Right, so let's move on to the next one. .NET Aspire new release 8.1. So for those who missed, .NET Aspire is the way to orchestrate your projects, your .NET projects, and run, let's say, backend, frontend, some databases, I don't know, some message brokers. Maybe you have some external projects that need to be run for your solution. And so .NET Aspire allows you to create a special project where you declare all these dependencies, and then you can just run this project, and it will start all the dependencies, and you will be able to work with your application with your, maybe you have few applications, so it will be really easy to start all of them simultaneously and troubleshoot, see how the interactions work and so on. So it's just in a very early stage. The project is in a very early stage, and a lot of new capabilities are coming. So it's really easy to contribute to this project, bring more features, more capabilities to it. So if you are considering to contribute to some Microsoft projects, this is a very nice area where you can contribute. So in this, for example, in this particular release, added a Docker file method was added. So for example, if one of your dependencies is an application that have to be built from a Docker file, you can do that right now with added Docker file methods. What else? Added Python project. So if you have an external dependency on a Python project, you can add it. That might be very useful if you have AI-based project. More resources, so more containers. For example, you can add easily Elasticsearch dependency, Garnet, Kafka UI. There is a testing improvement. Right now, it's possible to have some dependencies between the resources, and you can wait for a readiness of a particular resource. Might be very useful in case if you're writing tests using .NET Aspire, some metrics improvements, logs, and so on. Definitely a nice increment of .NET Aspire product. Yeah, so probably, yeah, again, so this is a video, and probably, yeah, this time YouTube didn't insert an advertisement. So what is it about? It's about a new entity framework 6 classic SQL provider. Volodya, would you like to step in and explain why Microsoft decided to add a new provider for Entity Framework 6?
Entity Framework 6 is dead. Long live Entity Framework 6. So, yeah, as you might know, Entity Framework 6 by default provides capabilities to use SQL Server. So it was basically a provider by itself. It has not so great architecture. It was not modular and so on, and it was using system data SQL client .NET provider. And at some point they decided to make it cross-platform, updated it. Currently it's kind of in maintenance mode, but the Microsoft currently invests a lot in new .NET provider for SQL Server called Microsoft Data SQL Client, which has very similar API, reuses a lot of models, but has different implementation, has a lot of new stuff related to Azure, to new SQL Server capabilities.
And it should be faster, right?
At some cases it's slower. because of weird implementation of, for example, of async reads of big byte arrays. But anyways, it's a modern stack, and because of the way how original EF was developed, they decided to introduce new provider for Entity Framework 6, which utilizes Microsoft Data SQL client ADNet provider just for this. And originally it was developed by a kind of side guy, which is not working on Microsoft. It was developed.
Eric Edge.
Yeah,
right.
Eric. He develops a lot of stuff around Entity Framework or ecosystem, and it was developed by him originally, but they were afraid that it will not be used by customers a lot because customers are afraid of anything that is not that is not Microsoft produced. So they just republished his package under Microsoft namespace.
Okay.
So if you are stuck on old Entity Framework 6, but you want to utilize new features of Microsoft Data SQL client, you might want to try this out.
Okay, interesting. So this one is probably the last. It's about Avalonia 11.1 release. It's a massive increment of this open source cross-platform UI framework. There is a really huge amount of improvements about like improvements in the cross-platform area, like different devices are supported, TV support, browser support, Android, iOS enhancements, performance optimizations, UI and UX improvements, productivity. So many improvements. It's a really massive increment of Avalonia, which is a kind of probably could be treated as a competitor of Maui. So, guys, what would you recommend to use, Avalonia or Maui today?
Let's use Avalonia, please.
Why?
It's much better. You just need to try.
Okay.
At least because in this release they added support for Vulkan. It is really huge performance improvement and support, and that's why they currently work in an Apple TV because of this.
So you may probably try to implement some gaming capabilities based on Avalonia, right? Because of this Vulkan support.
Kind of. And one thing that is not yet mentioned, or just not mentioned in this article, is that now Avalonia support ahead of time compilation for browser. I don't know why they didn't mention it. Maybe
they mentioned something about AUT.
Yeah, it is possible. And so it works, the speed of work in this kind of thing, but startup time is much faster. In the test it was about 5 or 7 times faster.
And
I suppose that they not announced it because it was kind of proof of concept work and they utilized.
No, it is included into this release, so definitely you can use it. So it is part of common string. So you don't need to add some special stuff or install something, enable something to use it. Just a few commands in the command line.
Didn't they use LLVM compilation to do so?
I think yes.
So then it's in very early preview state currently, because it's a feature of .NET runtime, kind of runtime lab repo where they do some experiments, and seems like Avalonia team reused this stuff that Microsoft wants to utilize for Blazor. And they reused it for just proof of concept work. So I don't think it's kind of official or ready to use in production. Also, it was just a proof of concept to show that they can use it, and it speed up things a lot.
Yeah, maybe that's why it's not announced here.
Maybe.
Hopefully this will be a part of .NET.
Avalonia, you mean?
.NET 10? No, native IT compilation with LLVM stack.
Okay. Right. So that's cool that we have such large frameworks, successful frameworks supported by open source it's a nice competitor of Maui. I think that it encourages Microsoft to work harder on Maui, because I don't think Maui is right now is in a good shape. Guys, if you have some Maui projects and you have some opinion on it, please share. It's really interesting to see if we have successful projects based on Maui. Yeah, I know that one of the department of the client for whom I'm working right now, they started a movement from Xamarin to Maui for one of their application. That probably was a logical movement, but if you are going to start a new project and you wanted to start on .NET stack, you wanted to have some cross-platform capabilities, so maybe it's better to consider to use Avalonia instead of Maui.
I think is that Avalonia is better for desktop targets, while Maui might be better for Android and iOS.
Actually, it depends from what UI library you'll be using for Avalonia. There are a few, they are not yet released, but they really almost fully simulate behavior of any mobile device. It is kind of cheery UI, as I remember, something like this. It is trying to, remove all disadvantages of using Avalonia on mobile.
Okay, interesting. All right, so that's all for today, guys. Do you want to say anything at the end? No. Okay, so then that's it. We wish you good luck and have a great rest of your day, and